If you want to know what it takes and doesn't take to price your property to sell, you've got to watch this video. Hang tight, it's myth busting time. I'm Sep Niakan, founder of Blackbook Properties and condoblackbook.com, and we're the only guide you need to know Miami real estate and lifestyle like an insider. If you're thinking of selling your property and want to know how to navigate any real estate market, then you'll want to watch this video where I squash top myths about pricing your property to sell and how to handle offers. But before we get busting, please like, subscribe, and share our page below so you get all of our information-packed videos on all things Miami we put out every week. Okay, now give me that hammer and let's get busting. What? No hammer? Top pricing and selling myths busted. Not to brag, but I am a real estate expert. No, really I am. I've been a Miami real estate broker for almost 20 years, and I've had my brokerage for more than 15 years.
My name is Sep Niakan, owner-broker of HB Roswell Realty and owner of condoblackbook.com, Miami's leading condo resource directory.
I've handled hundreds of millions of sales at various price points, including many multi-million-dollar properties, as well as plenty under $1 million as well. So I've seen a lot of deals, and I've seen all the real estate myths that are constantly spread by agents and the media on a daily basis. And when it comes to those tried and true rules for how to get your property sold, well, guess what? Many of those rules are actually myths if you ask me. Don't believe them. Today, I'm here to be your myth buster and tell you what's true and not true when it comes to pricing and selling your property. Let's go. Myth. Pricing your property too high will hurt you because price reductions are bad. This is just not true. When someone sells their property, we choose a pricing strategy typically with the agent's knowledge of the market and based on the seller's timeline. Sometimes we shoot for the moon, especially in a market where prices are in an upswing. Sometimes we price it based on the market price but leave a little bit of room on the high side for negotiating. And sometimes we list it at or even below market to create demand and rapid offers. When we list high, sometimes it results in the seller having to lower their price a little bit later, right? It's part of the strategy, it's part of the calculated risk. There's nothing wrong with this, and generally it doesn't hurt your chances of selling. What's wrong is if you're pricing your property too high in a market where prices appear to be on a downward trend, because then you're basically catching a falling knife, so to speak. You and your agent have to be aware of what the markets are doing. On the other hand, listing too high in a market where prices are increasing gives you an opportunity to make a little bit extra money potentially. So why not do it? I mean, who wants to leave money on the table? I don't. The key here again is that your realtor needs to have a pulse on where the market is trending and make recommendations accordingly. Myth. If you price your property just under market value, you'll get a bidding war and sell for higher. Really? Do you really want to take that risk? What happens if there are not multiple offers and someone bids at your below market asking price? Are you okay selling at that price and potentially having left money on the table? If you have a tight timeline and want to unload your property, this could be a great strategy. Otherwise, I would not consider it a foolproof or top line strategy. Myth. Your first offer is your best offer. Absolutely not true. You know who might say this? Maybe someone who wants to sell and move on. The reality is that sometimes when you first list a unit, there is pent-up demand, so you'll get a flurry of activity on the property quickly. And you might even get a fantastic offer of someone waiting on the sidelines, ready for a property just like yours. But just because it's the first offer doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the best one. I used to list properties for Fannie Mae back when the world was ending during the Great Recession. And what I learned back then, listing hundreds of properties for them, was that when they let the property sit for 2, 3, 4, even 6 months on the market, they ended up getting their best prices. And many times it was more than what we expected it to sell for the given comparables that we had. So just because you get your good first offer, it doesn't mean it will be your last or best offer. It all depends on your selling timeline and needs. Myth. Some people say to never go with your first offer. This is the reverse of the last myth we discussed, and it's also not true, especially when you factor in your needs and timelines as the seller. What if you chose the shoot for the moon strategy, which is basically pricing it very, very high, and your first offer is very close to your asking price? Maybe you just hit the jackpot. There's nothing wrong with that. If you have a good first offer, it could be a sign that the buyer has done their homework, they're serious about your property, and is ready to do what it takes to get the deal done. If you're ready to go and like the offer, and need or want to sell quickly, why not take it? Myth: a property sitting on the market too long is bad. Yes and no. Because the reality is that with some pricing strategies, some owners are less motivated than others and they want to test the market with higher prices. And if something stays on the market a little longer than expected, it's not a big deal as long as it matches the owner's timeline for selling. As prospective buyers inquire about the property, they may ask why a property stayed on the market for a certain amount of time. Hey, so why has this property been on the market for so long, right? And as long as we have a clear answer that satisfies their concerns, it's not a big deal. For example, the owner started with a pricing strategy well above market, and now he's reducing the price to be within the market price. That's a pretty easy explanation for a would-be buyer. Or the reason could be that there's a tenant in the unit and it's been hard to show it, so it sat longer on the market than other units. Buyer could understand that. The answer you give as to why a unit has been on longer than usual doesn't always even have to be 100% true, but rather one that the buyer can be satisfied with without putting you, the seller, at a disadvantage. And that moves everyone past the issue and onto the real question, which is this the right property at the right price for that particular buyer? We just busted a few of the top myths about pricing and offers when it comes to selling your property. But there are lots of other myths out there to bust when it comes to real estate and selling your home. So if you want more expert tips and advice about buying or selling, or you want more myths busted, just leave a message below. Where's that hammer? You can also take a look at more of our videos, check out our website and expert blogs at condoblackbook.com, or better yet, just give us a call. As always, thanks for watching, have a great day, and let's bust those real estate myths. I'm getting a hammer.